no. This
Hello,
happened.
hello.
There he is. Hello,
Very
hello.
well.
Hey,
Are you here?
Oliver.
Hello. Yeah, so, well, hi to everybody on here, and nice to be on here to finally be part of one of these Wingy updates.
Yes, yes, yes. We love it. We love that you're here. Thanks for agreeing to join us. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. Yeah, just sitting here and actually trying to last minute doing some small changes on the work I've been doing with the IntelliJ plugin
Oh,
for
really?
actually adding support. So, funnily enough,
There's nothing best
uh,
like 5 minutes before the demo, pushing something, one
yeah,
5 minutes
last.
before the demo.
Yeah,
yeah, learning a
exactly.
little from the changelog, right? Like we need to do this in the last minute.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Marcus,
So, you know what? I'll give you a few more minutes. And meanwhile, let's see if you can do things in parallel. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your day job position. I really feel like a reporter right now.
yeah. So, yeah, big surprise. I'm Oliver, and basically, yeah, I'm a software developer at Unity, and only been there almost half a year, so fairly new there. And yeah, of course, I need to say this. My work here is not affiliated with Unity when doing that. This is purely spare time hobby things, as I went into Wing randomly on some. Yeah, I think even it was Google that suggested it to me where it came up, and I was like, okay, that looks interesting. Looked into it and found that this definitely looks like a cool project that I've wanted to help into. And basically, so for me, the thing is, I'm very passionate about doing everything in my IDE. If my IDE doesn't give me great support, I don't really want to use the stuff. And when I'm very much into the whole IntelliJ universe of using IDEs that way, I definitely felt that, when first time opening up Wing, I realized, I can't actually, I don't have any auto completion. I don't have all my highlighting and so on.
So you did what
And
what every person will do. I mean,
so
if
I
you
did,
don't,
of course, what every person did, and spent a shit ton of time adding support for that in IntelliJ before even using the language to figuring out if I liked it. But I still enjoy it so far.
what
I
is
find it very nice.
what
And
is the first
you know,
time
it's
you
real.
created? Sorry, I have to.
Go
Sorry,
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
You're in the outside in the wind. Was it the first time you were working on on kind of a language server? Oh,
So I have done some language servers work before, and I've done multiple IntelliJ plugins.
hmm.
So I was very familiar with IntelliJ's system and uh, familiar with how language servers work. So and also how parsers and lexers and so on work. So I already had all of that knowledge. Didn't have to learn that part. Um, but actually using language servers in IntelliJ is a whole other world, as they first recently, very, very recently, I think in like 2 or 3 months ago, they actually added official support for language servers for plugin
Oh,
developers.
really?
So, and that was also why I found it more interesting, because I wanted to touch this shiny new thing they created at the same time. So it was
Got it.
a nice way of using both at the same time.
Interesting. Nice.
But yeah, I've created multiple plugins with for in the IntelliJ space, so was more familiar with how to actually do things there.
Awesome.
And sorry for my ignorance, but I have a question. You mentioned that you're developing a lot of plugins as part of integrating Wing.
Mhm.
Did you have to create new plugins, or it's not even related to that?
Well, so basically, IntelliJ's whole system is based around almost all the things in there is just a plugin that adds a lot of features to the whole system. So so basically, Wing support for IntelliJ is just a plugin
Is the
for
plugin.
IntelliJ
I
that
see.
adds supports in.
So
Um,
Oliver, what's your second favorite plugin? I know what's your first favorite plugin. What's your second, the second one that you like the most that you created?
that I created.
Yep.
Um,
That you created, yeah.
yeah, that will be one called Pest PHP, which is
Okay.
a plugin for adding support for a testing framework in the PHP world called Pest.
Oh,
um,
interesting.
that that I created. So yeah, so that's probably my second favorite plugin I created. Else it would be, I had another one I created that is deprecated now as IntelliJ added official support for that, but back
Oh,
when
that
Mac added the touch bar, had the touch bar that everybody hated. Um,
hmm,
I bought
the
one of
one
those.
with the top.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the one over the keyboard.
Yeah.
I had one of those Macs and found it
Oh,
very annoying that I couldn't use that touch bar for anything. So I actually added the plugin that added support for that into IntelliJ, which
what?
uh,
What? Which keys did you add? What was the action?
um, well, you could do any actions, so you could add whatever action you wanted into it, and you could,
Ah, it was customizable.
yeah, fully customizable. As
Kind of like
actually,
hot. Interesting.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So you can put all of your whatever one test, whatever you want to do in there, um, and IntelliJ then later on added official support
Interesting.
for that, which was quite nice because then I didn't have to do that anymore.
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
uh,
That's which language do you usually write your software?
Oh, many languages. Well, for plugin development, I use Kotlin
Okay.
because IntelliJ is built on the Java world. So, and I don't really want to touch Java too much, so I prefer using Kotlin instead. And then day to day, I get it's mostly Go or C sharp,
Oh, really
um, and
interesting.
and some C and C++ in there in between there.
Understandable.
um, and then spare time TypeScript also, and JavaScript and PHP. So many languages.
You decide to write software in PHP. That's
I worked in that. I worked in that for a long time. I think for 4 or 5 years. So I've written a lot of PHP. I'm not the biggest fan of the language itself, actually, which is the funny part. I do like the ecosystems they have, the communities they have in that world
oh,
is
really
very great, and the communities in there is. Yeah, that's amazing part of it. But the language itself, I'm not the biggest fan of.
ah, yes.
uh,
Okay.
I want to ask you some questions related to Wing, if you don't mind, Eyal. Um, I want to hear the most challenging thing you faced with Wing. And I remember you mentioned that it was hard because IntelliJ does not support trees and stuff. But I want to hear about challenges that are related to Wing, not related to IntelliJ. And I know that you had to work a lot through that challenge, and you can talk about that as well. But I'm just curious about Wing. What was the most challenging thing?
So I think the most challenging thing is actually one I'm still struggling with, um, which is which is actually building a website with like an React or some other framework like that, and then uh, doing hot reloading on that at the same time as changing things in Wing. So kind of wanted to create an API with Wing and use that in a React website to get it served through that. And that is still one thing I'm struggling with. That I know there's a pull request open right now for that looks very promising to add support for this.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I understand. Are you talking about the pull request that related to Astra?
Suf. Suf's,
So
no,
pull
I think
request?
it was Suf's
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh, it's
that
fun.
was
Okay.
It's a big one, yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, basically I think that's the struggle I've had the most is being in that situation where I want to uh, code on a website at the same time as changing the API and not having too much changes there. And yeah, definitely think the solution that is open right now will definitely help on that. Yeah, I think that was probably one of the biggest things I've had when trying to set up the whole setup for creating a more a hobby project.
Okay, okay, interesting.
I kind of look at the Revital and I'm a little bit frightened that this could easily be a scene from a horror movie. Any second
And
now.
Ayala, I saw that you smiled when someone reached out to me, and I'm like, no, 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 not now, not a good time.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, no, it's good, it's good, it's nice
stranger
here.
things. Oh, nice.
um, wow, interesting. So I will be a little bit optimistic as well, and I want to hear what was the thing that you liked the most about Wing. And I know that there are so many of those, so you can just pick up one.
The probably local development, that that I can create a lambda and actually work on it, change things, and see the changes immediately is an amazing thing. Like just having done, I haven't done too much cloud development in that sense, but having done a bit of it and coming from other ecosystem, it feels so weird having to do cloud development and don't when you have to push and wait a few minutes for changes to go through, and you're not even sure if they went completely through, and then you realize that it fails some way in between. And yeah, and this just feels amazing that I'm writing some code here and I can actually just use it immediately. And yeah, and I've only deployed once before something, and no issues there. It just works. It works the exact same way, which is exactly what you want from something like this. So I would say local development is definitely the go-to. It's a very nice development experience to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we planning to add breakpoints?
Ooh.
What breakpoints to what? As part of the
The local
breakpoint.
experience.
The
Breakpoints.
breakpoint. Yeah, yeah, of course.
F9.
Of course, of course. We have to have breakpoints, and we actually think. First of all, I want to say kind of local development, or as we used to call it, development. It's, this is the. I would say if I had to pick one reason, this is the reason why I think Wing exists. It's there's so much value in people being efficient, getting feedback fast. There's so much value when a person is actually working on the best tool, and the best tool has fast feedback. And I think that will create. I believe that create more software than anything else. Kind of fast feedback, writing tests, testing them, seeing your system, and so that's for sure. Breakpoint. We should have breakpoints. We should also have breadcrumbs. You should be able to put a breakpoint on a queue when someone pushes into a queue. Pause the software, and I can see who is that someone and what happened to that request. And it's think about
Wow.
distributed systems. So there's two layers of the stack and the flow and the network flow, and there's open telemetry that can help us kind of to trace it back. So yes, we can do this, and then the challenge will be after we do this great in development, what do we move into production? Because we want to also have the same experience without pausing the software to actually know what's going on in production. Yep.
Can I
I
ask
think
I love it.
uh, ask Oliver where when you started coding, like what got you into it? Because you seem very passionate about everything.
well, I think for me, well, I've been coding for many years now. So, but I think for
When did
me,
you start? What age did you start?
13, I think. 12
Okay.
or 13. Yeah, so
Okay.
obviously that wasn't anything that would be very useful, uh, but still always fun. Like I think the first thing was like a simple terminal tic-tac-toe thing, right? Uh,
Nice.
um, but yeah, it's always been one of those things. I think I've always been very passionate about code, the whole structure you have in it, and the how much there's behind the whole way of it all working. In general, computers and IT has been very interesting for me there. Like, also worked in computer repair stores, so very into the whole hardware part of it also. Um, and so yeah, I think the code has always been. Yeah, something that's always clicked for me. Makes a lot more sense. Um,
That's
yeah.
because I don't have any coding background, and I see everyone at this the company sort of talking about coding everything all the time. No, it's interesting to me. It's it's a different way of seeing the world. I feel like.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've realized the most with people also when trying to talk to them what's interesting about coding and so on is the whole difference. The people normally see coding as a very mathematical thing, where I see it more as of an artist thing. Like, sure, there's some math in it and so on, but it's more like when you have to do any art stuff, like you have to think about a solution and figure out how you want to paint this out in a nice way to showcase it and so on, where it's a lot more of a creative process than it's a mathematical process of trying to figure out just a simple formula with one solution. There's a billion solutions to the same problems, and it's very much opinionated on how you want to structure things, how you want things to look nice.
Yeah, I kind of like the craftsmanship. I kind of like that. It's like there's something like a carpenter that's really that is a great craftsman, that knows how to choose the right tools, that has experience, have seen patterns, knows how to work this. But also there's something new in everything that he does, and that's the nice thing about coding. That's why I'm so irritated when people talk about predicting what exactly efficiency for programmers. It's no, this is not what I sign up for. This is not what I want to be part of. So it's I think it's I really agree with you. There's something to it.
And I have another question.
It's going to be a allowance, so choose it wisely.
Yes, I know. I chose it wisely, believe me. Oliver, you mentioned that you're not writing any code if it's not, you're not developing anything or dealing with anything if it's not part of your ID. So now that Wing is part of your ID, what big projects are you planning to develop? Tell us.
Yeah, so currently I'm trying to work out a hobby project at the side where I'm trying to create a better budgeting software for myself. Annoyed about what I'm using right now and want to have a better one. So I'm trying to create that fully out. Having some bit of problems with figuring out how to get allowed to get the data from my bank, but that's a whole other issue. So yeah, that's what I'm working on now, and then want to create the full API for my front end with Wing and create it all that way. To think it's a nice way for me to try to showcase it all. And also see how it will end up being in the Wing files when you actually start having a lot of logic in here, because currently most of the examples I've seen, all of the examples that are there are not. Some of them are a bit longer, but there's still not anywhere it's like, oh, this is a full-fledged application. How does this actually look like? How does it end up looking? How do you structure things when you start getting into a bigger scale of things? And so I'm hoping that I can get a better feel of that with creating a hobby project that for that. And obviously this is just some random project that I thought to myself, oh yeah, I could use that. So let's use that as an example for building something out and trying out new technologies that way.
Oliver, this sounds super interesting, and we'll be excited to see your journey. Where are you from?
Denmark.
Denmark, awesome. So how are you going to export the information from the bank? Are you going to?
Yeah, so
we possible in Denmark to ask. I mean, I have a webhook. Give me stuff.
Well, so APIs, there's a law regulation called PSD2, which requires all banks to have an API available.
Really?
In Europe. However, the thing is, I think it depends on countries who are allowed to actually who they're allowed to who they need to share this with.
Okay.
And in Denmark, at least, it might be global, but in Denmark, at least, you need a specific certification to be allowed to handle financial data. But there's some API brokers who already have this ones where you can get access through their API to banks' APIs.
Yeah. I'm talking to the guy who didn't like the fact that it doesn't have autocomplete and created the language server plugin, and replaced it with another syntax. So I have a feeling you're looking to ways to figure this out. Exactly.
Hack the bank.
Yeah, I actually
Hack the bank.
did try that with the bank app instead, and see if I could reverse engineer that one instead. And that's also a possibility. It seems like you can kind of get it down so you end up just having the the 4-digit code for your bank to open that up and can get the data out that way. But yeah, it seems a bit hacky. Maybe something they will not be happy about doing.
So interesting.
Trying,
It's going to be interesting to see what you do with that. It says
Definitely.
yeah,
there's also
I
a
think
way
I will probably put it out open source when I get it out. So also, I think it could be a nice example for other people further on to see Wing more in action.
Yeah.
But let's see when I find the time to actually build it out.
interesting if you can use Winglang, you can use JavaScript, and you can actually also use TypeScript today.
Yeah.
In Wing, so it's going to be interesting to see what you use. A lot of logic, not a lot of logic. You can basically kind of cross. I mean, you can do extend to TypeScript and JavaScript right now. JavaScript is fully supported. TypeScript, I just realized it's fully supported in by accident in a way. And talk to me, I can show you. And
Interesting.
it's
So-
Wow, that should be one of the topics for the next Wingly. Yeah.
let's wait for his app. Let's show his app. Let's see his bank account numbers. We want to see some numbers.
So
Definitely.
is it kind of using WebAssembly behind the scenes for that part, or is?
Don't mistake me. I'm from the. Do you know I'm from the product? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah,
I told you, yeah, we need to deep dive. We need more details.
I think it's our AS build, the thing that handled kind of packaging. It also works for TypeScript, but I don't.
Okay.
But our language is fully compatible with JavaScript. So TypeScript runtime is JavaScript, so it's not a
Yeah.
runtime problem.
You can always compile to JavaScript and then take it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Those compiled to JavaScript, right? Oliver, it's been super interesting. It's been fun.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Also, on the same note, Revital, watch out from people in white mask, and machine.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
I think that should be your thing. Every time, a different setup.
View. A different view.
Use the company budget.
Yes.
Different country.
Different country. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Different continent.
Yep.
Oliver, thank you so much. It's great to have you as part of our community. And if you have any question, need any assistance, just feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, and it's great being part of this community. I'm really looking forward to see where Ring will go. Thank you for all the work so far.